Trinity Lab. Hurricane Helen paid a visit to Florida's Gulf Coast and left locals utterly bewildered. This man documented the out-of-the-ordinary phenomenon of fish swimming along the road right under his feet. His footage shows us streets covered in water in the Coffee Pot Park neighborhood. City officials warned residents to refrain from traveling. Indeed, what's the point of going anywhere if you can catch fish right near your home, especially since no one canceled the warning of a stronger storm? Pesto is the name of a popular baby penguin who recently arrived at a marine life park in Melbourne. His sex has finally been revealed, and a baby show-style party was held at the aquarium to mark the occasion. A video taken by park staff shows a senior caretaker shoveling a pile of snow to find the color blue there, meaning the penguin turned out to be a boy. Pesto's parents, penguin couple Hudson and Tango, attended the celebration with the rest of the royal penguin colony, while people enjoyed a penguin-shaped cake with blue icing inside. Since Pesto hatched, he has quickly won the hearts of fans around the world, not only with his adorable antics, but also his impressive size. At just 9 months old, Pesto weighs as much as 21 kilograms thanks to his abundant appetite. He eats 25 fish a day. This is officially the largest chick the Sea Life Park has ever seen. The otters loved playing with ice cubes and diving for ice blocks at Melbourne Zoo in December when Australia was just starting summer. Footage released by Melbourne Zoo shows Asian otters snacking on ice cubes and diving with ice cubes. Their tireless, playful energy is infectious, and they love to show off their problem-solving skills in finding food. The zoo said keepers purposely freeze the otters' favorite snacks, such as fish and sweet corn, into ice blocks to keep the active animals occupied. They have to use their clawed paws to retrieve the hidden treasure.
It's part of their enrichment, so it's encouraging their natural behaviours, which include foraging to find their food, and it's lots of fun as well.
A savvy second-grade student in Arizona rushed to the rescue of a classmate who began choking during lunch. As this footage from Porter Elementary School shows, students calmly eating lunch. In the second row, on the left side of the table, a child can be seen putting his hands around his neck, showing that he is choking. The boy sitting next to the choking student noticed his distress and quickly performed the Heimlich move to help his classmate. It is amazing that such a young man knew there was a Heimlich technique, recognized the problem in time, and was not afraid to use the method. The boy was later recognized by members of the fire and medical services for his bravery during a ceremony at the school. Researchers at the University of Nottingham used a ghost driver disguised as a car seat to fool pedestrians. As part of a research project on autonomous vehicles, they wanted to make them think the car was unmanned. The team outfitted the vehicle with visual displays. According to the researchers, they displayed the intent of the car's maneuver in the form of eye and facial expressions, which were accompanied by short messages such as, "I saw you," or "I'm giving way." More than 500 pedestrians interacted with this vehicle over several days. Overall, people referred to the displays to make decisions about whether to cross the road in front of the unmanned vehicle. The study also showed that people continued to treat the encounter with the unmanned vehicle as a reciprocal action, despite realizing that there was no human behind the wheel. Funny how the human factor hasn't lost function when dealing with a robot. Many pedestrians continued to use hand gestures, such as thanking someone for giving way. This means that we expect social interaction even from mechanisms. We can't be changed. Or maybe you can't fool your intuition. There was a driver. The 49th annual Halloween parade returned to New York City on October 31 for the first time since the pandemic. It brought music, dancing, and a mix of spooky, colorful costumes as an entire crowd of participants lined up along 6th Avenue. The parade started down 6th Avenue from Canal Street, traveled through Soho and Greenwich Village, and officially ended at the corner of West 15th Street. The New Yorker captured this footage as she and her friends watched the parade from a rooftop in Soho. This Halloween parade was fun and a great reminder that New York City is not dead after the pandemic, despite all the graveyard costumes, she said. A massive explosion erupted while fighting a garbage truck fire in a residential neighborhood in Illinois. Fire crews were extinguishing a fire in the truck when part of the truck exploded and debris rained down on roads and homes. The parts flew into the air and landed up to several blocks away. Several rescue workers were nearby when the explosion occurred, according to police. Several people were taken by ambulance to a local emergency room with non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of the explosion is still under investigation, but it is suspected that at least one of the fuel tanks the truck was running on, compressed natural gas, exploded. A major piece of public art has been awaited in Canberra. Footage released by the National Gallery of Australia shows the 5-day journey of the 13-ton work called Ouroboros from Brisbane, where it was created by artist Lindy Lee. The statue was accompanied by a police escort on its journey of more than 1,000 kilometers. The installation depicts a snake devouring its own tail. It symbolizes eternal return, the cycles of birth, death, and renewal. It was commissioned for the gallery's 40th anniversary in 2022. Surveillance video captured the moment when a giant sinkhole formed in the middle of a field in a city park in Olton, Illinois. It appeared to be the result of surface subsidence due to the collapse of an underground mine. Additional drone footage taken by the service showed a huge crater supposedly about 30 meters wide on the grass of the soccer field. Good thing no one was there that morning. All scheduled events were canceled and the park was closed until the investigation into the incident was completed.
That's Real Madrid, boss.
An unfortunate accident happened as if by a stroke of evil fate. A bus of the Real Madrid soccer team was spotted on the highway in a broken condition. It crashed into a truck on a highway in the UK, a day after the team's 2-0 defeat to Liverpool in the Champions League. We can appreciate the unpleasant incident from footage taken from a passing car. It's a shame to see a smart bus, marked with the Real Madrid logo and colors, slammed into the back of a truck. They suffered a few injuries, but nothing serious. 4 NASA astronauts aboard the International Space Station sent a video message to Earth ahead of Thanksgiving, which is celebrated in the United States on November 25th.
Greetings from the International Space Station.
Astronaut Sunita Williams began by wishing Happy Thanksgiving to everyone on Earth.
So we've got a container here of all the things that we're going to enjoy on Thanksgiving. It is a feast. Let me see, we've got...
Her colleagues Donald Pettit and Nick Hague then demonstrated the packaged food they would be eating for the holiday dinner.
Brussels
sardines,
Brussels sprouts, butternut squash, apples and spice,
Smoked turkey.
and smoked turkey. It's going to be delicious.
Brussels sprouts, pumpkin, spiced apples, and smoked turkey were stocked for the astronauts. In space, it turns out, you can celebrate earthly events quite well and also take a break from mundane affairs. There aren't many places where you can truly lie on the ceiling, and this is one of them. We are grateful for weightlessness. It's fantastic, the cosmonauts remarked with humor.
We're grateful for that. We're grateful for a nation that is a spacefaring nation that lets us live free, say what we think is important to say. And so from all of us on the International Space Station,
Happy Thanksgiving.
You think you already decided? Back to Worthington! Back to Worthington!
There was a violent clash between sports fans in Birmingham as they threw bottles and other objects at each other, including even the condiments from the burger truck. By the way, pepper in these cases can act as a gas paralytic. Fans inside the stadium reciprocated by throwing guests back. During the riots, police detained 46 people, but 4 officers were injured due to fierce resistance from the angry crowd. The riots allegedly started when the visiting club, contrary to expectations, did not distribute tickets to those fans outside the stadium. As you can imagine, they were very angry about not being able to watch the match and decided to prevent those who got inside.
Back to Worthington! Back to Worthington!
You can look at pandas endlessly. These bears are incredibly cute. See how Adelaide Zoo's big pandas, Wang Wang and Fu Ni, were enjoying lots of treats in their enclosure. The zoo staff decided to celebrate their birthdays. The pandas turned 18 and 17 in August. Footage released by the South Australian Zoo shows the male Wan Wan diving into a tub of tutti frutti scented water. The pair were also entertained in other ways, presenting them with cardboard boxes themed like an Asian food market. In zoos, these measures are called animal life enrichment. Large pandas have a very good sense of smell, so the herbs hidden inside the boxes allow the pandas to search for food, sniff them, and explore to find the source. Pandas also love to swim, so a scented bubble bath is also an opportunity to use their noses. Fu Ni and Wang Wang have lived at Adelaide Zoo since 2009 and are the only large pandas in Australia. That's probably why they are so pampered. A scandalous prank was observed at the Prado Museum in Madrid. This activist glued their hands to the frames of 2 world-famous paintings by Spanish artist Francisco Goya to protest against government inaction on global climate change. The group has a history of civil disobedience actions, and its goal is not to harm society, but to call on the authorities to act on climate change. 2 activists literally grabbed the attention of the general public when they stuck to the paintings Naked Maha and Clothed Maha.
Está pegado, tiene lo quité. Está pegado con loctite, no puede moverse.
A video posted by a participant in the action shows one person taping his hand to the frame of a painting and another writing plus 1.5 degrees Celsius on the wall between 2 works of art. They were all wearing t-shirts with the logo of their organization. I am standing here because last week the United Nations officially declared that it is no longer possible to curb global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius and that this jeopardizes our security, one activist said. The Prado Museum said the paintings were not damaged, but expressed discontent against putting cultural heritage at risk. Using art as a means of protest is unacceptable, gallery officials added.
Deje ya de grabar, vaya saliendo. Viene ahora la policía, va a venir ahora, vaya saliendo.
Get the fuck out the ground! Get off the ground, nigga! Get off the ground! Get off!
Surveillance video at a Toronto store captured the moment 2 employees tried to disarm a robbery suspect. Police said they were called immediately after reports of a man with a gun breaking into the store. Surveillance video shows 3 masked men walking inside. One of the suspects pulled out a gun and demanded that employees get on the ground. The robbers took some of the clothing and began to leave the store. Officers say 2 fled the scene in a stolen vehicle, and video footage shows officers struggling with the remaining suspect before police arrive. The 15-year-old was charged with several crimes, including robbery, possession, and pointing a firearm at a person. It's commendable that the employees weren't afraid to get into a fight, albeit with a young, armed criminal who had been ditched by his accomplices. Five men were arrested and convicted for carrying out a daytime raid in March 2022. They broke into a jewelry store in Birmingham. Around 300,000 pounds worth of jewelry was stolen from there during the robbery. Police said 3 men armed with sledgehammers entered the store, broke through 2 store windows, and began putting the jewels into bags, while 1 accomplice remained in the car and a 5th gang member acted as a crowd pleaser. He waved an axe in front of witnesses. Police have released a recording of the dramatic raid, including store CCTV and cell phone footage taken by eyewitnesses. Apparently, the restrainer was unable to control them and prevent the video from appearing. This became irrefutable evidence in court. Crowds gathered in Colorado Springs on September 1st to celebrate the city's 48th annual Labor Day. To mark the occasion, glowing balloons were launched in Memorial Park in the morning and evening. In all, about 70 balloons rose into the air, creating a large-scale, colorful spectacle. Apparently, the city has done a good job this year since they make such grand celebrations. Residents of Rochester, NY got their first glimpse of an air show when the Italian Air Force swept over the city's airport in graceful configurations for a rehearsal. The footage, shot by brothers Joseph and James Frescati, shows the Italian Air Force aerobatic team rehearsing a flyover. They managed to capture these scenes while the famous aria from the last act of Giacomo Puccini's opera Turandot played in the background during the flyover. The same flight pattern is to be repeated at the show with the full colors of the Italian flag on the planes. Even the Air Force in Italy is not without the accompaniment of opera singing. SpaceX has launched a mission to rescue 2 astronauts stranded aboard the International Space Station. Safety issues with their Boeing Starliner capsule prevented them from returning home. The astronauts had planned to make the trip for a week, but delays to their return mean they won't be able to get home until 8 months after their departure at the earliest. NASA's Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbunov were already aboard the SpaceX rocket and were scheduled to work there for 5 months, conducting experiments and helping repair a telescope attached to the station's exterior, according to NASA. 2 more seats were left vacant, and it looks like the astronauts occupying them will stay much longer. Flames and smoke were visible from the plane as it landed at Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas. In this video taken by a witness from the airport as emergency crews rushed to the landing strip, open flames are visible on the plane's landing gear. The company commented, as Flight 1326 from San Diego to Las Vegas was landing, the pilots detected smoke and declared an emergency. The plane landed safely and all passengers and crew were evacuated down the gangway. No injuries were reported and passengers were taken to the terminal by buses. A total of 190 passengers and 7 crew members were on board. An attorney representing NFL Hall of Fame player Terrell Davis said he is suing United Airlines after his client was handcuffed and removed from a flight. The attorney produced a videotape of the arrest as a federal agent handcuffs Davis and leads him off the plane. The former player was flying from Denver to Colorado, and during the flight, a flight attendant accused Davis of hitting him. The former athlete explained the situation as follows. During beverage service, my son politely asked for a glass of ice. The flight attendant either didn't hear or ignored the request and walked past our row. I calmly reached back and lightly patted his hand to get his attention and again asked for a glass of ice for my son. He yelled, "Don't hit me," and left the cart to hurry to the front of the plane. Davis said the claim was false and that he was still in shock, describing the event as traumatizing. A young trainee pilot managed to safely land a small airplane that was missing an important detail. The footage captured the moment they landed safely, albeit somewhat awkwardly, at Oakland County International Airport. It was the novice pilot's third solo flight. The landing was radio controlled by an experienced instructor pilot after he informed the control tower that the plane had lost a nose wheel tire on the runway. He took control of the situation. It is hard to imagine what could have happened. The airplane could have ended up in the grass, in the mud, overturned, but everything turned out perfectly safe. The nose of the airplane only got a dent from hitting the cement when landing. Several young people were filmed while boarding in the sand along the shoreline in South Carolina. It would seem to be a common pastime for local youth, but that day, Tropical Storm Debbie brought rain and flooding. According to local reporters, the beach at North Myrtle Beach was hit hard by the storm's winds. Whether the kids were lucky not to get caught in the storm, or whether the warnings of meteorologists mean little to them, they will go sand surfing in any weather. Several people, including teenagers and police officers, were hurt in New York City when a promised giveaway in Union Square Park got out of hand. The event was organized by a popular online streamer on YouTube. He told fans that he would be giving away free PlayStation consoles in the area on Friday afternoon. Apparently, the social media personality didn't have much experience in organizing offline events, so the crowd grew rapidly, from 300 kids to several thousand in a matter of minutes. The mostly young audience became restless while waiting for their idol, and soon chaos ensued. They began smashing food carts, stores, and wrecking transportation. As a result, 65 people were arrested, 30 of whom were minors. The Department of Tourism in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh has reported that a new record has been set for the largest display of oil lamps at a Diwali annual festival of lights event. Footage taken by a participant of the event shows the laser light show that was projected on a temple wall. The state's tourism department published a photo of a Guinness Book of World Records certificate stating that more than 1.5 million oil lamps were lit that night. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was present at the celebrations. One can imagine the audience's delight at so many lights and incense. Protest demonstrations in Sri Lanka's uprising have stormed the office of the country's president in the center of the island's capital, Colombo. In this footage, we see a military helicopter that was filmed flying low over the protesting crowd. A week of riots and marches swept across the country. People were driven to desperation because they had previously been trying to survive for months in the face of a severe crisis. There was a noticeable shortage of fuel on the island, there were prolonged power cuts, food supplies were not working, and prices were rising. Storm Celia Zero brought dust from the Sahara Desert to ski resorts across Spain, coloring snowy landscapes orange and turning them into Martian paintings. A video shot by a local snowboard instructor shows scenes at the Sierra Nevada ski resort in Granada. Strong winds forced the elevators to close, and the University of Alicante's climatology laboratory said Spain had the worst air quality of any country in the world during those days. The dust storm even beat China and India in terms of pollution. That's all for today. You've been with us, Eternity Lab Channel, a lab of evergreen content. Subscribe and check out our previous episodes.